Sometimes life whispers but we're too busy to hear. At other times it shouts and yet we prefer to ignore it. But there is a subtle and transformative truth that transcends both silence and noise. God is always speaking. He uses the language of the universe, the symphony of existence, to reach us. His signs are everywhere, in every corner, every unexpected smile, every moment when the heart seems to hesitate between doubt and hope. The problem is not in the message, it's in our ability to perceive it. How many times have you wondered why certain events happened in your life? Why you met someone who changed your perspective? Why you faced a challenge that seemed insurmountable, only to later realize it guided you to something greater? God leaves nothing to chance. His communication is constant, but it requires an open heart to decipher it. The beauty of all of this is that divine signs don't only come in the great moments of epiphany. They are in the small details, like the petals of a flower that silently blooms at dawn or the wind that sways the trees on a peaceful afternoon. They are in the words of a friend, the song that plays at just the right time, the dream that awakens something within you. God speaks in tongues that transcend words because He doesn't just want to be heard, He wants to be felt. At this moment you may be wondering, how can I recognize these signs? What if I'm missing something important? Don't worry, because the simple fact that you're here reflecting on this is already a sign. God doesn't demand perfection. He desires attention, the willingness to stop for a moment and look at life with new eyes. If you're ready to dive deeper into this journey of discovery, I can continue and explore how God uses nature to communicate with us. Nature is the first poem God wrote, a living masterpiece that pulses in perfect harmony. Every detail of it carries a message, a subtle invitation for us to stop and reconnect with the essential. When you observe the sway of leaves in the wind, the sunrise painting the sky in shades of gold, or the rhythmic sound of a stream flowing, you are, in fact, witnessing a divine language that transcends words. Creation doesn't just exist, it speaks. Have you noticed how everything in nature has a rhythm, a perfect cycle? The seasons change, the tides come and go, day turns to night without ever failing. This cadence teaches us about trust and acceptance. Even in the harshest winter, there is a promise of spring. Similarly, in our lives, difficult times are not permanent. They are part of a cycle that will inevitably lead us to rebirth. God reminds us of this through nature, showing that there is beauty in every phase, even those that seem barren or dark. When we look at nature, we are not merely observing, we are being observed. Every detail was designed with purpose, as if it were a reminder that we are part of something much larger. A flower doesn't rush to bloom, nor does a river fight against the course it must follow. These creations follow their purpose with a serenity that teaches us to trust the divine plan. By pausing to appreciate these lessons, we begin to realize that perhaps the same Creator who cares for the sparrow and adorns the fields with flowers is equally attentive to our lives. Have you ever felt deeply moved when observing a landscape or listening to the sound of rain falling? This is no coincidence. It's the divine voice finding space to touch your soul. Nature is a mirror that reflects not only the grandeur of God but also your own. We are, after all, part of this creation, and the same power that shaped the mountains and painted the sunset lives within us. Therefore, when you feel lost or disconnected, turn to creation. Walk through a park, look at the sky, listen to the birds. Let the simplicity of nature remind you that you too are part of a divine work. There is no rush, no competition. There is only a flow, a purpose, and you are exactly where you should be. If you wish to continue, we can explore how God works through human connections, showing us the transformative power of relationships. God speaks through people. He sends messages not only in words but in gestures, in unexpected encounters, in hugs that seem to come at the perfect time. Every relationship that enters your life, whether for a moment or a season, carries a divine intention. Nothing is by chance. God uses human connections as bridges to touch our hearts, teach us lessons, and guide our steps. Think of those people who crossed your path and transformed you in some way. Maybe it was someone who offered the advice you needed to hear. Or perhaps it was a friendship that brought light in a dark moment. Even those who brought challenges into your life, who tested your patience and faith, may have been instruments of growth. God works in mysteries, and often the people we least expect are the ones who help us see profound truths. Have you ever heard something from a friend or even from a stranger that seemed to speak directly to your soul? As if that phrase was tailor-made for what you were going through? These moments are not coincidences, they are answers. God moves through the words and actions of those around us, using them as messengers to remind us that He is always present. Relationships are not just casual encounters, they are mirrors. They reflect our strengths, our vulnerabilities, and what we still need to learn. Sometimes God places people in our lives to challenge us, to show us areas where we need to grow. Other times He sends angels in disguise, those who, with their kindness and love, show us what is possible when we live according to the divine purpose. Even goodbyes have a purpose. When someone leaves your life, it is because the mission of that connection has been fulfilled. It can be painful, but even in departure there is a deep lesson. God knows what we need at each stage of our journey and orchestrates meetings and separations with divine perfection. Accepting this is trusting that everything, absolutely everything, is aligned with a greater plan. When you recognize that each person who crosses your path has something to teach or share, you will begin to see the world with different eyes. Even those who seem difficult, who test your patience, are teachers in your journey. They are the ones who often show us the power of forgiveness, empathy, and compassion. God teaches us that human connection is sacred, not only with those we know intimately but with everyone we meet even briefly. Your task as the chosen one is to be attentive, open, and willing to see the divine in every person who crosses your path. If you feel ready, we can continue and explore the power of silence, where often the deepest messages are revealed. Silence is the space where God whispers. In a world full of noise, where external voices compete for our attention and the mind never seems to slow down, silence is like a door to the divine. It is there, in the stillness, that you can hear the soft voice that has always been present but is often drowned out by the busyness of life. Silence is not empty, it is full. Full of answers, peace, and connection. How many times have you felt that you needed a moment of tranquility, but hesitated to seek it? Perhaps because silence feels uncomfortable, or because you fear what you might find when everything around you and within you calms down. But it is precisely in this space of quiet that the greatest revelations happen. When you allow yourself to pause, breathe deeply, and simply exist, you create a direct path to hear God's voice. Silence is not merely the absence of sound, it is the presence of something greater. It is like the night sky, vast and full of mystery, where the stars only appear when the darkness arrives. When you sit in silence, it's as if these stars begin to shine in your soul, revealing truths that were once hidden. It is there that God speaks, not with words but with sensations, intuitions, and that peace that transcends understanding. Often, we seek answers in external places, asking others what we should do or searching for obvious signs in the world. But in reality, the answers you seek are already inside you, waiting to be discovered in the stillness. Silence is the key to accessing this inner wisdom, a portal that connects your soul to the Creator. When you intentionally create moments of silence, you are saying to God, I am ready to listen. It could be through meditation, a silent walk in nature, or even a few minutes sitting at home with your eyes closed. It doesn't matter how you choose to do it. What matters is creating this sacred space where your mind and heart can open. Deep revelations often come in the simplest moments. Perhaps during a pause in a busy day when you stop and breathe deeply, you realize an idea that lights up your path. Perhaps on a quiet night while looking at the sky, you feel an answer you've been seeking for a long time. God doesn't need a grand stage to speak, He only needs your attention. In silence you learn that you are not alone. There is a constant presence, a loving force that guides every step of your journey. Even when everything around you seems chaotic, silence reminds you that there is order in the midst of apparent chaos. God is there waiting to renew your strength and faith. If you feel ready, we can continue and explore how creativity also becomes a powerful channel for expressing and receiving divine messages. Creativity is one of the most powerful ways God speaks. When you create, whether by drawing, writing, singing, or even solving a problem in an innovative way, you are allowing a greater force to manifest through you. Creativity is more than a human skill, it is a portal to the divine, an expression of the energy that connects all things. Think about how you feel when you're immersed in a creative moment. Time seems to disappear, and your mind becomes a continuous flow of ideas and emotions. This state of total presence is a glimpse of spiritual connection. When you allow your creativity to flow, you're listening to God's voice in a unique way, translating His essence into something tangible. Often, creativity arises as a whisper, an idea that seems to come out of nowhere, an impulse to try something new, or a desire to express what is in your heart. These moments are not random, they are spiritual invitations. They are ways God says, I am with you. Use this gift to bring more light to the world. Every creative act, no matter how small it may seem, is a collaboration between you and the divine. Great works of art, soul-touching music, and words that transform lives often come from a place of deep inspiration. Artists and creators often describe the creative process as something that transcends their own understanding, as if they're channeling something greater than themselves. And indeed they are. Creativity is the tangible manifestation of spirituality. But you don't have to be a professional artist to experience this power. Creativity is not just about producing something beautiful. It's about being open to transformation. A simple act of drawing on a piece of paper, writing your thoughts in a journal, or even cooking a meal with love can be a moment of divine connection. God speaks in the details, and creativity is the language that gives form to the invisible. When you allow creativity to flow, you also learn to trust. You won't always know where your ideas will take you, but the process itself is an act of faith. It is a reminder that you are a co-creator, an essential piece in the grand plan of the universe. Every creative impulse, every new idea, is a spark that ignites something greater within you. So, the next time you feel the desire to create, don't ignore it. It may be God trying to reach you, asking you to share something only you can bring to the world. Embrace that calling without judgment or expectations, knowing that the simple act of expressing your creativity is already a prayer. If you want to continue, we can explore how God speaks through moments of crisis and overcoming, turning what seems to be a fall into a higher flight. God often speaks louder in moments of crisis. It is in the deep valleys, when everything seems uncertain and fragile, that His most transformative messages reach us. Although crises are often accompanied by pain and confusion, they carry within them a potential for rebirth, as if they were portals leading us to a stronger, clearer, and more connected version of ourselves. When we face a loss, a door that closes, or a dream that seems to crumble, it is natural to ask, why is this happening to me? But from a divine perspective, nothing is wasted. Every crisis is an invitation to look beyond the immediate, to seek a deeper purpose in what seems like chaos. God uses these circumstances not to punish us, but to prepare us, to shape us, and to align us with our true path. Think back to moments in your life when an unexpected difficulty forced you to change direction. Maybe a rejection led you to discover a new talent. Maybe a loss taught you to appreciate more deeply what you still had. It is in those moments that we realize how God transforms the deepest pains into unexpected blessings. He does not close one door without preparing another that will open at the right time, often in surprising ways. Crises, no matter how difficult, bring us closer to God. They force us to stop, to reflect, to seek answers in deeper places. It is as if, in the breaking of our certainties, a new light emerges, revealing what we could not see before. God speaks in these cracks, in those moments when everything seems to collapse, but in reality they are building something new inside us. Overcoming does not happen all at once. It is a process. And in this process, God is present, guiding each step. Sometimes you may not feel it immediately. It may seem like you're alone, but it is precisely in these moments that His strength manifests in the most powerful way. Every tear, every doubt, every silent prayer is heard. And when you emerge from the other side of the crisis, you realize that not only did you survive, but you grew. Think of a broken vase. In some cultures, like in Japan, the cracks are filled with gold, creating something even more beautiful than the original. So it is with us. Crises leave marks, but when we give our wounds to God, He transforms them into something precious. Your scars are not signs of weakness but of resilience, of a story that was transformed by divine grace. As difficult as it may be to believe, every challenge you face is a call. A call to trust more deeply, to surrender to the greater plan, to recognize that you are capable of overcoming far more than you imagine. God did not choose you for this journey because it is easy, but because He knows you have the strength and the heart to win. If you're ready, we can move on to the conclusion of this journey, where we will reflect on all of this and celebrate how God is always speaking, guiding, and caring for us. God is always speaking. Sometimes He manifests in the whisper of the wind, other times in a crisis that shakes our structures, and in precious moments of silence or creativity. His voice is constant, but we must learn to listen with our hearts. The signs are everywhere, waiting to be noticed, ready to guide, comfort, and inspire us. Every detail of life is infused with divine purpose, and the key is in our willingness to see beyond the obvious. Throughout this journey, we have seen how God uses nature to teach us about harmony, patience, and trust. With every cycle it completes, we are reminded that our lives also follow a perfect rhythm. We learn that relationships are not coincidences, but divinely orchestrated encounters to shape, support, and challenge us. And we discovered that silence, often overlooked, is a sacred space where God's wisdom is revealed. Creativity emerges as a channel for divine expression, a way to bring light to the world and connect us to something greater. And even in crises, perhaps especially in them, God is present, transforming pain into learning, doubts into faith, and challenges into stepping stones to something greater. Every aspect of our existence, from the smallest coincidences to the biggest transformations, is proof that we are never alone. Now it's your turn to reflect. Think about the moments when you felt God's presence in your life. Perhaps it was in advice that changed your path, in a decision that seemed impossible until the way opened up, or in a moment of peace amidst chaos. These moments were not luck or coincidence. They were signs, reminders that you are deeply loved, guided, and part of a greater purpose. Whatever moment you are in right now, whether of joy, doubt, or overcoming, know that God is by your side. He speaks even when it seems there is silence. He guides even when the path is unclear. His presence is constant, and His light shines brighter in you than anywhere else in the universe. You are not alone, you never have been, and you never will be. The journey of the chosen is not easy, but it is full of meaning. You were called to this life with a unique purpose, to learn, grow, and spread light in ways that only you can. Embrace it, trust it, and remember, God is speaking to you now through these words, this moment, and every beat of your heart. If this message touched your soul, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video so that it reaches more people who need inspiration. Subscribe to the channel for more reflections and leave a comment sharing how God has spoken to you. Your story might be the inspiration someone needs to hear the divine voice in their own life. You are light, you are loved, and the world needs your presence. Thank you for being here.